It's the Pete Sousa Show. Sports, Pete.
Sports don't stop, and neither do we. Welcome to 365 Sports, your home for real conversations, original shows, and coverage that lives where sports actually happen. Join David Smoke, Craig Smoke, and myself, Paul Catalina, for in-depth interviews and local stories to the moments national media misses. 365 Sports brings you the voices, debates, and perspectives fans care about every single day. Subscribe now on YouTube, search 365 Sports, and never miss a moment because sports aren't seasonal. They're 365.
Nobody tells our stories better than our clients.
The difference is stark. I was rear-ended at a stop. I thought I was fine, and then once I got home, I realized it's a lot worse than I thought. I ended up having a ruptured disc. You say you're not hurting, and then an hour later, you're saying you're in all this pain. I just felt like most people would think that I was lying. And that's when I decided to call Daniel Stark. I owe a lot to Daniel Stark. They really got me what I deserved.
The difference is stark.
Just use AMP-Pace.
Pace.
With Ease US, make studio-quality voiceovers for your videos online in over 149 languages and dialects, featuring 468 natural AI voices. Customize the volume, mood, and pauses to perfectly match your content. Plus, capture high-quality videos with no watermark. Record your screen, webcam, and voice, and save them instantly to your computer. Never been easier to create professional-grade videos and voiceovers. Try it today at easeus.com. That's EASEUS.com. Ease US. Since our founding, we've been revolutionizing hair removal with cutting-edge technology and a commitment to empowerment. The U-Like Air 3, launched in 2023, ushers in a new era of sapphire ice cooling technology, offering nearly painless hair reduction in just 3 weeks. Experience the future of hair removal today at ulike.com, because at Ulike, beauty is about looking and feeling good. That's ULIKE.com. Ulike.
Hey, it's Matt Mosley of The Matt Mosley Show. We want you to watch our show every day, 1 to 3 on YouTube or wherever you get your podcast. And you get to see big-name guests like Gary Patterson, Art Briles, Scott Drew, Doug McNamee, major Cowboys insiders, ESPN legends like Sal Palantonio. When news breaks on Cowboys or Baylor or NFL, we want you to look here first. 1 to 3 weekdays, it's the Matt Mosley Show.
It is the Pete Sousa Show. We are live from our Flower Mound Studios. Pete Sousa, Cam Stewart, Chris Visser. We're all cogs in this wheel, and we are so happy to have you guys with us today. Thanks, by the way, to my friends at the University of Richmond for the football helmet. Unbelievably beautiful, and that's a different logo than we had, but man, it pops. My buddy Christian sent this to us, and I said yesterday, I got the picture over my shoulder, and now all I got to do is put the helmet on that guy, and he's ready to rock and roll and get his ass. Yeah, a huge day today. We'll get into some of the March Madness that I feel like really for me starts today with the Big 12 tournament that tips off at 11:30 with Baylor taking on Arizona State. we'll talk a little bit this morning about Baylor, their Big 12 hopes, the Big 12 tournaments and Big 12 tournament odds that maybe jump out at you. Also, the reason why those odds jump out at you, and the differences in tournament seeding, and the way that tournaments, conferences are going about this to see to it, right, that their teams make it, their best teams make it to the NCAA tournament is interesting in a sense that, like, you pull up the FanDuel odds today on the Big 12 tournament, and you see right away Arizona plus 115. They're a heavy favorite. All these teams, Iowa State plus 650. Now that jumps off the page at you, but the reason Iowa State is plus 650 is because that Iowa State, their draw wasn't terribly appealing. They're a 5 seed, and the 5 seed means you got to play in those not even quarterfinals. It's just a second round. The 4 teams that get to chill are Kansas, Houston, Arizona, and Texas Tech. They don't have to play till Thursday. But if Baylor's odds to win the Big 12 tournament, Baylor, Arizona State, Kansas State, Colorado, Oklahoma State, 30,000 to 1. That's insane. I guess it's just a sign at how good this conference is. And it's certainly, my man Bryce Cherry wrote an article today in the Waco Tribune, and Bryce did a terrific job of laying out the pathway for Baylor to get into the NCAA tournament. The one thing I thought, I feel that there is, playing in the Big 12, there's no way that Baylor is going to win the conference. I almost think that's impossible, just because they don't have any depth. And there's so many other very good teams. So last night, by the way, let's talk about how good Arizona is. I'm getting ready for the American tournament. And Memphis plays like extremely fast. So I was trying to find like the fastest teams in the country. And I came across the fact that Arizona is like 4th or 5th in fast break points. Now, why is that notable? Because this is the same team that will drag you down into the mud and just eviscerate you in the paint. And with Mo Krivas, Koa Pete, and Tobey Awaka, but oh, by the way, when they get the opportunity, they are out and running. So Arizona scares me if I'm any other team that has to play them. The best thing that you have going in the NCAA tournament or the Big 12 tournament, if you face Arizona, is that it's one and done. I mean, that's your only chance, which, I mean, that's why college sports, or especially the NCAA tournament, is so awesome, right? Because of, the win and get in. I know that Slovacics is pumped about being a part of this ride. I know that Socorro Family Ford, I was talking to my guy at Socorro Family Ford last week about, the fact that, 1, I'm going to have to buy a car soon. And 2, by the way, I said, I'm not looking for any hookup. I'm just telling you that I'm going to be in the market for a car. So I got to go by there. I want to put my money where my mouth is. It's just a great relationship we have with Socorro, a great relationship we have with Daniel Stark Injury Lawyers, a great relationship we have with TFNB Bank, a great relationship with Crawford Austin Properties. And it's all good stuff, man. I'm loving this ride, and I'm really enjoying this new lighting. Cam, what do you think? I mean, you usually give me crap that it's dark. This is great, right?
Yeah, it looks like sometimes you're trying to do almost like a David Lynch kind of liminal space movie. I think this looks fantastic. This is the best lighting look.
I just went to Target and I got dude. I got a story for you. I go to Target. Okay. I get this big ass ring light, right? Mm-hmm. And so I bring it up. It said $39.99, and I bring it up to the self checkout. And as I approach the self checkout, there's an older man. He's probably 65, and he's like an out of work clown. I think there's a little baby that he's trying to talk to, and he's doing this with the baby, right? I'm behind this family, and he's doing this. No, this guy's probably 60. Okay.
Okay, now we've lowered his age by a couple of years. All right.
Now he's 65.
Skin looks good.
And then now maybe, you know what? Let's say he's 65. So it's so creepy. Okay. The whole thing is creepy. So then I go over there, I go to check out, and my ring light is $54. It's not $39. So now I got to call over Happy the Clown.
The
and
reverse sale. I love that.
So there's a different kid that he's now giving a sticker to, right? And I'm like, excuse me. And he acts like I'm interrupting him. He's giving this.
I'm working here.
He's giving the kid a sticker. I don't know what the sticker says. And I'm playing the game. I'm like, oh, that's really sweet. And I'm like, can we get this done? After he gives me the death stare that I like interrupted his interaction with this child, who, by the way, I can promise you every bone in his mother's body was relieved that I'd taken this man away from her son.
Saving the child, yeah.
Yes. And then he came over and we got it down to 39. And I felt a lot better. Truth be told, I had like a scruples moment, and I had just gone to a 12-step meeting before. So I was kind of feeling like I was on the right side of the law spiritually. And the guy was like, we were really getting into the details of how this would be $39. And honestly, I was like, maybe I screwed up. But I was like, no. I know I saw it as $39. And the guy, I had an opportunity to be like, all right, just make it 54. But I was like, no, I'm sticking to 39. And I got it. I got it at 39. I know what I saw.
That's how you do it, man.
Yeah.
That's the way to go through life.
Can you tell me real quick? I hate to do this, but this is worth talking about. We got Harold Kuntz coming up, by the way, from Fox Sports in Kansas City. He's going to set the scene for the Big 12 tournament. And as we are literally 2 hours away from Baylor, it will either be the end of the Tunde Yesufu run. There you go, Cam. Possibly the end of the Cam Carr run. It's so awesome that Scott Drew was able to notch 500 wins this season. It will be the end of his season, right on 500 wins. It's going to be the end of the Danny Hurley era in Arizona State. I hate, as a kid of the 90s, that Danny Hurley, that it's just Bobby. Sorry, I appreciate it. That Bobby, it just hasn't worked for him in Tempe. And I've probably called 6 or 7 games out there over the past 3 years, and he's just like, he's the nicest guy. But you almost worry about you. Honestly, I think a break from basketball will be good for him. He needs like a year or two to like really experience the joy of life, because this situation in Tempe, I don't know how much joy he's found in it. I really don't know how much joy he's found in it. But real quick, can you discuss with me what our friend Scotty Swingler said to you yesterday? And then we're going to get to Harold Kuntz, break down the Big 12 tournament and give a little insight on what's going on in Kansas City right now. But what did Scotty tell you yesterday? I don't want to bring up Locked On Baylor, and I know Chris
Look,
Visser,
I just wanted to be known.
Our executive producer is like, what are you doing right now? But Chris, you got to hang in there for me. We're about to take an exit off into Crazy Town. Let's keep it brief, Cam. But tell me what you had. Scotty Swingler, who, by the way, is a legitimate sports insider. Yes, I say that. He's very sourced up around Baylor basketball and football. And he was the initial guy. He was the initial Locked On Baylor guy. You know that. It was him, Garrett Ross, Drake, then you. I
didn't know that.
I figured that out with Garrett.
I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Yeah,
he didn't mention it when he was back on. I've had him on a couple of times. So he says the plan to fix Baylor women's basketball, and therefore the rest of the athletic department, is to fire Nikki Collin and hire an old friend, and that is Jerome Tang, to coach Baylor women's basketball. And it's gotten some mixed results. Scotty B, the Baylor King, who's a big fan of this show, did not like it. Went on a rampage in the comments, as he put it, ticked off about it. Do I think that's like the number one move for Baylor athletics or for Baylor women's basketball? But I thought Scotty put together an argument. I thought he did. I still have questions, and I brought this up to him I still have questions of Jerome Tang as a head coach.
Yeah.
I definitely still have some questions there. But Scotty is looking more towards motivational tactics than X's and O's because they haven't beaten good teams this year or really the last couple of years. And Jerome Tang will give you that. You know, he will give you that intensity. He's obviously, I don't want to say he's a bad coach. I don't know that he's a great head coach, but he's obviously worked amongst some great coaches in the past. Got the Baylor fit.
Man, it's a wild one, Cam, right?
And I'm honestly, well, I guess what intrigued me most about this is I'm surprised that it doesn't happen more often. That men's, especially now,
dude, I've seen it.
Basketball coaches become
when I was working.
It happens, but it doesn't happen a ton.
No, and when I was working for the Charlotte Bobcats, our coach at the time, Trudy Lacey, on the women's side for the Charlotte Sting, she was not having a good year, so they fired her in the middle of the year, and they brought in Muggsy Bogues to coach the team. And Muggsy's first quote said it all. They were like, Muggsy, like, what are you going to do? Like, how are you going to coach women? And he's like, man, basketball is basketball. I'll be fine. And then in the middle of the season, if you were to have caught up with Muggsy and have an honest conversation with him, he had some serious issues around like the differences between coaching men and women and how he was totally flummoxed as to how to connect and relate to these young people. And yeah, so Scotty, it's an interesting hot take. I'm surprised that a guy like Scotty, and why I owe him a phone call. I can't wait to hang with him. You're on maybe unstable ground with Baylor University. Let's just napalm it, dude. And so, I mean, like, seriously, you've got a women's basketball team it's interesting because they're vulnerable right now because they lost at the Big 12 tournament, and that sucks. They're still ranked in the country, if I'm not mistaken. They may have dropped out. They were 21 going into the tournament. But, like, let's just pump the brakes, okay, and see how things – this is a woman who's been to the Sweet 16. I think she's done a phenomenal job, Nikki Collin, taking over for Kim Mulkey. And we have no clue what kind of shape Jerome Tang would be in as a guy. I think that could be a disaster. I don't think he would say yes either.
You don't think so?
No way. No way. There's too much. He's got too much pride, too much fear around failure there. I
thought it was interesting. I heard him out.
Let me do a quick read, and then we'll bring on Harold Kuntz. But I do want to just talk a little bit about Lake Waco Golf Club. This is, it goes back to our roots, right? All over Central Texas, people are starting to play golf again. And Lake Waco Golf Club, I've played the course before. It's right on North Waco, Lake Waco on the north side. An exclusive 18-hole executive course, an executive par 3 course there. You can also, I always go with, the Bill Self thing. He told me a couple months ago that when he plays golf, he just goes ahead and they trade gear. So if you beat Bill in golf, he's going to buy you gear. Buy gear from the pro shop if you are going to make a bet like that against a buddy of yours and go out and play Lake Waco Golf Club. Also, you got to stop by the grill. Cam loves the grill. And you can become a member over there too. So Lake Waco GC, check it out. And go ahead and maybe get out on the links, man. I got friends in Philly. I was talking to them yesterday. They've been hitting it pretty hard. All right, let's go to Kansas City. Let's bring in my man, Harold Kuntz. Harold, thank you so much. I didn't want to keep you waiting anymore. I appreciate it. This is a special time for a lot of people around America because it is March Madness. And we've come to a place in college basketball where I really feel like, and you've been around it now for several years, nobody puts on a party like the Big 12. And you're going to be right in the eye of the storm covering this conference. What are you most excited about headed into the Big 12 tournament that comes to Kansas City and really enriches the fiber of that city?
Yeah, well, thanks for having me on, Pete. But yes, Kansas City, I mean, anybody here will refer to this tournament as like Kansas City's baby. It has been for years. We hear the outside complaints, especially with the way the new look Big 12 is, but it's always been Kansas City's baby. And you go back to the days when it was really regional back in the Big 8. And, basically everybody had at worst a 5-hour drive to Kansas City with the exception of Colorado. I know that's changed now, but the hospitality is still there. Everybody gets their hotel. Everybody's very close to the T-Mobile Center. They've got it down pat with how they do things here in terms of the Fan Fest, in terms of the bands at Power and Light, in terms of the action going on in the court. You know, you remember the 8-team Big 12, but then you remember the 10-team Big 12 when you just have the games on Wednesday night, and it would still be, at least the lower bowl would still be full. So it's definitely Kansas City's baby. It's one of the things we lay down our hat on and know that, okay, at least we have this, you know. I mean, the AFC championships and the quote unquote Arrowhead Invitational, those things have been kind of new to Kansas City, but the Big 12 tournament's always been Kansas City, and they've tried it in other places. And, you know, it's one of those often duplicated but never imitated type things, or often imitated, never duplicated type things here in KC.
I think it's a real tip of the cap to Kansas City that, you know, Brett Yormark has done just about everything in his power, and he's done an amazing job to move the conference forward. And, you know, a guy like that, NBA guy coming from, you know, New York City to the Big 12, I believe it was on his radar to move the tournament somewhere else. And then when he got there and experienced it, he was like, yeah, this isn't going anywhere. This is who we are. That speaks to him kind of just getting it and understanding what the Big 12 is about. I know you grew up in Nashville, but you were in Tulsa for a while, and you've been in Big 12 country for a very long time. When you look at this conference, is this as good as you have seen it in recent years, covering, you know, the Jayhawks, covering Kansas State, and covering all the teams in the surrounding areas in Big 12 country?
Yeah, from a talent perspective, I think you got to go back to when Kevin Durant and Texas were in the conference, when Michael Beasley and K-State, and that little era. When
that's what I say too.
Yeah, that era. I mean, this is comparable with the talent you have. Of course, I mean, we don't need to go through all the talent that's there. We all know about Devonta and Peterson and Bradley and you know, basically almost all of Arizona and a lot of other teams. And then you had some decent sleeper teams like a Cincinnati. I mean, honestly, the way they're seated, BYU could be considered a sleeper team right now since they're playing today against K-State. So, yeah, talent-wise, it's one of the better years I've seen in the Big 12 from just a strict talent perspective. Now, team-wise, you could say it's a little top-heavy. Just because you have all those teams in the top 15, but then the bottom tier teams are quite bottom tier this year. Utah, Kansas State, they're not having the greatest seasons in the world. But even then, K-State can throw out PJ Haggerty to you, who will probably be a second-round pick. And then Utah, you know, Utah's bad, but I mean, they coming into it, at least non-con-wise, they were, I think, 8-4, 9-3 before they entered Big 12 play. So, yeah, it's been a great conference. It's been a great year. It's been good to follow all the talent. You could tell when we were at Big 12 Media Days back in, I mean, what feels like forever ago, but October, when, you know, all those players were there. I mean, Yesufu was there, and Arizona players were there, Devonta, Peterson, you know, and then, of course, you know, you look at it, and then sure enough with Kansas, you know, their best player ends up being the dog, Melvin Council Jr. So it's been really fascinating season how it's kind of evolved into like, oh, okay, now we see all the talent. And I know a lot of people wanted AJ Devonta to be player of the year, but they gave it to Bradley instead. But that's right. I mean, this is a players and coaches thing that they vote on. So, and they know it's not even the best player, the best team is the leader of the best team. And Bradley is deserved. I think he's the engine that goes with that team. And they're basically telling you if he doesn't go, then the rest of the team doesn't go. In Arizona, who is clearly the best team in the Big 12 this year. So well-deserved, but yes, top to bottom, a talented league. And I think you got to go back to like maybe the Durant and Beasley days back then where you have comparable talent in terms of what we're about to see in June with the NBA draft.
And, you know, Blake Griffin was
Blake Griffin is another, yes, of course. Yeah.
I mean, that was just unbelievable. You bring up a great point about talking about Kansas and Melvin Council. What have you heard around Kansas heading into the tournament? You know, we are such like a hot take society, right? We were talking about a crazy one before you came on here. But when you look at the Darren Peterson stuff and Melvin Council, like I had a chance to call a Kansas game, and those guys really all seem like they get along very well. They do. And it seems like people know, like you said, and obviously you know because you cover the team, Melvin Council is the dog. But like into March, how do you see that dynamic playing out? Like, how do you feel about Darren Peterson, his minutes going into the tournament? What do you foresee that looking like? Just to start with that for
Yeah.
Kansas.
Yeah, when it comes to Peterson's minutes, I mean, I'll go by what Bill Self said during the game against Kansas State, and he said like that's the best he's ever seen him from a physical standpoint and an athletic standpoint. We've had spots where he's looked very athletic. You can go back to the BYU game where it looked like he was proving a point against Devontae that first half, where he looked exceptional. You go back to the Oklahoma State half, the first half where he looked exceptional, but then he taps Bill and he wants to call out for the second half because I didn't think he was truly 100% healthy even when he was playing maybe the last 3-4 games before these last two, if you will. The math works out on that one, but he's looked really good recently, and he's looked good in practice. And he in terms of Bill Self is saying to most people now, like he's carrying on like he's going to be available for the full game going forward. And I think there is the handling situation with Peterson was definitely something that you looked into, and you didn't want to speculate much because you just really couldn't get into his team much. You know, his agents weren't saying much, his family wasn't saying much. Maybe his high school coach would say something, but his high school coach would basically say, like, I never had that problem. So you kind of look more and more into it, and you're wondering what's wrong here. And then when the national noise really kicked in, when you start to see the Stephen A. Smiths on First Take start to talk about this situation, and he's not very educated on it, but he talks about it. But his words speak volume because he's on a national medium and people listen to it. And he wanted to say things that people wanted to agree to. All's fair when it comes to whatever you say in the public, but that was not necessarily the case. The case was he was genuinely hurt. And I mean, you know, it's just some people need to see like a broken bone for you to be genuinely hurt. Like this is like if you're genuinely hurt and you can't go, you can't go. Like soft tissue injuries in basketball are going to affect you a lot more than many other sports. So he was hurt. And I think he's still not completely 100% if you ask me, but he's good enough to make a run here. Now, is that 3 games in 3 days, which is what would they have the situation with a double bye? Remains to be seen. We'll see Saturday if they get to that point, what his minutes would be like, because they're looking at a 3 seed right now, looking at a 6 seed game. If you go by seed, it would be TCU, and then it would be Houston, and then, of course, Arizona if they were to play all three in 3 days. So we'll see how that goes with them. But when you have an engine like Melvin Council Jr., who could probably play 45 minutes every day, you know, he's something else. He's something else. He's got an engine there, and depth will be tested because they need to use some of their depth. Maybe Bill's starting to trust some of those guys off the bench, you know, but there doesn't seem to be a lot of trust in it, like enough for the first half, but not in the second half. So Peterson, you know, we know his future, and he's admitted as such. He's basically said, like, you know, hey, this is the last time I'm ever going to do one of these little press conference things anyway. So he's kind of like, he knows, everyone knows he's gone. But I think he wanted to make sure that people know that he still loves Kansas. Obviously he loves the money they're giving him, but he loves Kansas, and he loves the fact that he's there. He does love his teammates, and his teammates do love him, and they understand the situation. They've tried to treat it as best as they possibly could. But it's going to come to a point where, you know, hey, it's March, buddy. You got to produce. And I think he knows that. I think the team knows that. And I think the message has been there for him now that he knows that when the calendar turns to March, we need you to be available. We need you to be playing at the best of your abilities. And I'm looking forward to him knowing that that's what he has to do. And it starts here in Kansas City.
As a super thoughtful response. And I want to kind of dig in on one thing you said, because I do – the Stephen A. Smith stuff, when it hit, and that was the game I called, the Oklahoma State game, when he took himself out after that 3. And, you know, it's funny because, as you know, at ground zero, it's just not that big a deal. I mean, like, it is a big deal, but, you know, it's whatever. And then it gets to that level, right? And it becomes like a 4-alarm fire. Do you think that noise from the national media maybe moved him to at least speak more, you know, and become more available, and also add a little bit of clarity and ultimately, hopefully, closure, right, by playing more and more? But do you think that those voices like Stephen A. kind of pushed him into playing more and then talking about it more?
Yeah, I think it did. I think it got his people, his camp, you know, the light bulb went off, and he was playing. I don't think he should have been playing. I think he still should have been at a maybe 25 to 30-minute pace. But he was trying to be like, okay, well, I'll show you. I'll go 34, 35. And I was like, I don't think his body was really ready for that, not at the time. So it's been a delicate situation. And the fact that everybody and their mother was talking about it and people were questioning him. And, this is the University of Kansas. This is a school that cares more about the front of their jersey than their back. And they appreciate players, and people come, and the alumni that come back to KU or go to Allen Fieldhouse, they were ones that appreciated the front of the jersey. And that's very dictated to you when you get to KU. So it didn't seem like he was doing that. It seemed like he was interested in himself. And maybe that put it out in the national limelight. And his camp probably cares more about the national limelight than the local limelight, because the local limelight he's a great player. And he's a good guy. But the national limelight that may not have the amount of information or boots on the ground, if you will, type of reporting, they're going to say some things. And we know that people that carry a lot of weight in media sometimes are the ones that have no idea what's going on except for what they were read or what they were told. We know that. That's just how the business works. So they discuss it and they're like, oh, goodness, he's got to play harder. And I mean, there's no question that he's been playing hard. If you watched any game of his, you knew that he looked like the best player on planet Earth in college basketball, especially for some halves. I mean, you could see why the scouts are drooling over him. And then there is the quote with Debanza where he said, like, well, if I got to play 40 minutes, I got to play 40 minutes. And I was like, okay, like we get what you're saying. And, there's going to be some back and forth and who's one, who's two, who's three. There's so many NBA scouts in these games. They're asking the questions because they're trying to make an investment in their future. And that's all well and good, but you have to know that this kid's playing hard. But I think overall, going to your previous point, but overall at Kansas, they're still searching for an identity right now. Because if they have Peterson available, they're still searching for how to play with Peterson. They're still searching for how Melvin Council Jr. could be that aggressive dog, if you will, on the court with Peterson on the court at the same time. You still haven't seen that fully develop yet. You haven't seen a player like Bryson Tiller, be able to knock down those corner triples because he's still watching Peterson or Council go to the basket, try to get the mid-range jumpers. We know Flory is a great defensive player. We know that's pretty solid. He's a linchpin defensively. He's a very great defender. They've been putting him even on guard sometime, because KU likes to switch a lot, and they've been putting him on guard sometimes. They switch up the looks, but they're still searching for that identity, I think, offensively. And that's not going to be something you figure out against TCU if it's the high seed or whoever on Thursday. So still some things to figure out, and they'll get there. But, the good thing about KU is even if they do lose the first game, they are in the NCAA tournament. We know that for sure, and they'll probably get a team that they can't figure out some identity with. So they got to win They got to win 3 weekend tournaments. That's basically how it works.
Hey, if they get on a roll, Harold, do you think that there's a possibility that Bill Self that he steps aside and kind of moves on?
I don't get the feeling. I mean, I've seen some things about, well, this is it. There's some internal belief that there it is. I mean, what is message board geniuses or what you will, or some of the other places that, tend to have a lot of people that think they know a lot. I mean, I know he's had the heart procedures, and that's been.
But he says he's feeling better than ever, and he looks better than ever.
He's feeling better, and I think what frustrated him more is just the fact that he was just trying to figure out how this world worked, and. That is, I mean, they've got a great recruiting class coming in next year. They're working on the number 1 recruit in Tyron Stokes. And, I think it's between Kansas and Kentucky right now. It's just a matter of financials and who's got the backing. But regardless of him, they have a great recruiting class coming in.
Look at this guy up early in the morning for us. They got
a great recruiting class coming in. And I think he still enjoys coaching. He still enjoys, getting after it and, and liking he likes his team. He likes the talent he has. And that's where he enjoys most at. I mean, he's got a lifetime contract. Yeah. So essentially they gave him a lifetime contract. It was the old forget you NCAA contract that he got a few years back. So he enjoys it and it's up to him. It's his decision. Now, I mean, that's something he'll have to consult with his wife and other people for and see what happens.
I get the
But
feeling
he loves it there.
that
He loves it there. He's beloved there, and if the KU prestige carries weight for anybody who will want that job, knowing the resources, knowing the facilities, and knowing how much they care about it, and knowing that every day you're going to get 15,300 there at Allen Fieldhouse, even if you're playing Monmouth. So there is definitely some thought to it, but it's up to him. It's up to
what
him.
you said, Harold. I agree. Like, I think that before the season, he was talking about, hey, for the Kansas standard, we had not been playing up to the level of basketball that I would ever feel good walking away from, right? Like, he was like, and I think that with the Trey White and the Melvin Council and kind of hitting on those dudes in the portal, and he loves Melvin Council so much, right? Like, I think that put wind back in his sails. And like what you were hitting at, he's kind of figured it out. All right, last question. Have you seen the floor? Have you been on the floor during the women's tournament? You're an athlete. What do you think of this whole thing? What's the deal?
Let's be careful on the word athlete nowadays. But, I've obviously been on the floor. I've seen it. I've taught a lot of the women's players. Now, the speed of the game, obviously, with the men's game, that's going to be different. So there's some give and take there. Bill Self actually had his team go practice on it last night, taking advantage of the fact that, they're only 45 minutes away from downtown Kansas City Mo. So, and he said, there's some give to it. It's a little more, it's, softer than you thought it was. And everything I had heard, the main things I'd heard is it's warmer than usual because you're playing on an iPad basically. And it's such a finite glass court, but it's like playing on like a very dotted glass, if you will, if that makes any sense. There's so many pixels and so many like lights. And it literally is like playing on a computer screen. And so there is some give to it. There's some bend. There's going to be a little more bend, but I give credit to the staff there that works on it. The AGB staff. If I'm not quoting that correctly. ABS. Thank you. Yeah. And they are on top of it. Like
really?
there's got to be a crew of 20 to 25 people on this court that are there every day, and they'll be there for Arizona State Baylor coming up in an hour here, and like when every media break, they've got their, it looks like little curling brushes out there. They just scrub out these lights, and they point it out, like in their little control booth. They point out, it's like, hey, we've got light 3 out, light 16 out, like 64 out. This one needs to be scrubbed. This panel needs to be this. I mean, it is very computer based, and it's like a science out there. And they've got it down to a real good art form of making sure that everything's corrected. You'll see them scrubbing during each media timeout. There's a spot here. I mean, it's very carefully put together, and I foresee this coming yearly at some places now. And the reception's been good, with the exception of it's warm, and so they might try to think of some cooling system or something of that nature in the near future. But it squeaks just like a regular basketball court, and you get a good feel of it. And I think it actually is an advantage for some teams that play on it 2-3 times if they get that opportunity.
That's a good point.
I think we saw that with the Kansas State women's team. They kind of got a rhythm on that court, and they got used to it. And they were playing teams that were playing on for the first time. So
I like that.
So that was a little bit of an advantage for them because they got adjusted to it. So. Because there is a little bit of adjustment to it. I mean, it's a regular basketball court. Don't get me wrong; it's a little better, but the TV doesn't do it justice, and we've seen that they've changed the Louis Vuitton look that I think was loved by the Big 12. They've changed that to now a little more of a black top. I mean, you mentioned Brett Yarmark and his Brooklyn roots. I mean, he likes the black top. That's his thing. Yeah. But they've changed it to a more of a hardwood look with the black top. I mean, the Phillips 66 with the big red logo really sticks out like a sore thumb on TV. Because of it, and it looks a little lighter than usual, but that's because it's a computer screen, so they've adjusted with it. And some of the people there that work on the court have told me they're just waiting for the green light to go as crazy as they possibly can. Because at the flip of a button, they can change it. We've seen some of the practice footage from BYU players last night on the iPad, just kind of
it was amazing
buttons. And so it looks pretty interesting. And it is interesting. I mean, we got a preview of it before the tournament started, and the guy was basically pressing the button and it turned into Baylor's court, or turned into KU's court, or turned into Arizona State's court. So And it doesn't do it justice on TV in the sense that when you're there, if a kid's shooting free throws on the other half of the court, they're showing the statistics of the player to free throw line in like a scoring box. So it's really unique. Or like they'll have the logo on the other end of the court, or like if say a team takes a timeout and they're carrying the momentum, they'll change the midcourt logo to say a Jayhawk or the BU logo or any logo because they had the momentum. And then they have the flashing lights during the starting lineup. During the starting lineup, they're able to put the team's court down during the starting lineup, and they have the flashing lights, everything. So it's a really unique experience if you watch it in person. More than anything, it's really built more for the in-person experience more than anything. And I wish, maybe they're going to try to tell people this going forward, that on TV they need to kind of do some like, hey, zoom out to the whole court. We've got things going on that are pretty cool. You can zoom into the action. Maybe they're going to work with ESPN on some of those different shots and different angles they can use. Because I mean, it's a really cool thing when they get to go ham on that court with the iPad and everything. They can do some things. They could. I mean, the guy told me himself, he's like, we can do some damage. We can go crazy. We can get wild. It's just a matter. We're just waiting for the word. But they wanted to play it very conservative for the first round. And then you can see as the rounds advanced, they changed the logo from Big 12 tournament to Big 12 championship on Sunday, and that was not a subtle change. It was right there in the middle of the court, but they changed that logo, and because they can do that. They can change anything, and they can change the court. They heard the public sentiment about the quote unquote Louis Vuitton look with the XII, and they took it away because they can change it. They can change it like that. I mean, like I could sit there and be like, I really don't like the 3-point line. They can extend it. I mean, they can do whatever they want with this thing. So it's really cool to watch. But at the same time, I mean, safety first, and they do a really good job of making sure that everything's taken care of, all the lights are taken care of, and nobody's impacted from a play standpoint. And that's the most important thing for those guys.
Harold, man, obviously Fox 4 Kansas City, but where can people find you? You're amazing, dude.
Yeah, man. Just social media, Harold Kuntz 3, the number 3, and just check me out. And I'm always posting stuff. I'll obviously try to stop by tonight, get some action in. K-State, BYU are playing, and then I know Utah season will end, and Arizona State Baylor. I think it was a tricky first game for 11:30 game. I'm not going to be at that one. I'll just be watching that one at home, but should be fun. And then Wednesday we'll have the night session. I mean, when we had the 16-team tournament come into play with the Big 12, it seems like a lot, but when it is decent basketball, and when your 9th team is a team that could definitely make the tournament, and your 10th team is a team that's definitely a shoo-in for the tournament, I mean, it's a good league this year. It's a really good league. It's a lot of good talent, and the tickets are affordable. I can tell you, they're not filling up all the season tickets. I mean, that's every conference tournament. There's a large discussion about conference tournaments and how they, are basically money grabs for the conference. But like nobody, I'm sure in the ACC, and they're playing their conference tournament in Charlotte. I'm pretty sure when Cal plays Wake Forest at 11 a.m., only 4,000 people are probably going to be there too. Just like, Arizona State Baylor at 11 o'clock. And that's not going to change if they go to Vegas or something like that. No, it's going to be worse actually. Yeah. So I just, take the conference tournaments for what they are. It's good practice as a neutral site venue for those players, and it's a way for the conferences to get their name out. And this year, the Big 12 and the Big 10 have really been the two premier conferences in college basketball. I'm looking forward to watching some of the Big 10 on TV, but I'm looking forward to watching the Big 12 in person. And Kansas City does roll out the red carpet for this tournament. It is their baby, kind of to tie in loose ends, and they really enjoy the experience. And I think the players do too. They enjoy the hospitality of it. And I hope that I hope the fans know that, they try here. This is not just, a one-off event here in Kansas City. This is something they do care about here. And they care about a lot of things here in Kansas City, but this is one of them. It's part of the culture of the city, and they do enjoy this week, and people enjoy this week. And Iowa State fans definitely enjoy the Busch Lights. So they will be here in full force. And I would say they're almost a local team when they're here. So it's fun. When they get lathered up, it gets real fun.
Hey, do you know Corey Black or like Tyrell Kirkham at the Big 12?
Black, yeah. Corey Black, yeah.
Corey's the man. Yeah. Tell him I said, hey, I'll be, and you got to meet Tyrell too. You're right in their wheelhouse. They would seriously appreciate this coverage because it's great and it's honest and you're really good. Harold, man, I appreciate the time, dude. I'd love to do this again with you.
Yeah, anytime.
Yeah. Appreciate you, man. Thanks so much.
All right. Thanks, Pete.
Yeah, you got it. Wow. Harold Kuntz, that was legit, man. I love a true journalist. And that's what Harold is. And it's funny too, because we talk about the guys on First Take and, like Stephen A used to be a Harold Kuntz. Now Harold Kuntz is the Harold Kuntz and, maybe he'll be the next Stephen A. Who knows, right? But pretty cool. All right, let's talk about real quick Bumblebee Blinds. Bumblebee Blinds, as Cam says, pull the mic up. Better, Cam? Thanks, Cam. Bumblebee Blinds. Look, do me a favor. All throughout Central Texas, okay? Bumblebee Blinds. First of all, you can go in there and you can get a free assessment. And when you get that free assessment, you'll be one step closer to getting those new blinds. They can take care of you. Oh, by the way, if you're somebody that has a crazy shift, daylight savings just hit, and pretty soon the sun's going to be up till 9 o'clock. So Bumblebee Blinds is a great place where you can go ahead and get taken care of. Make sure you reach out to them today. Bumblebee Blinds is the place you got to go. All right, Bumblebee Blinds. Make sure you check them out if you're looking for any kind of shades, window dressing, all that stuff. They got you covered. Cam, anything else?
I mean, from me?
No, I'm about to head to the American Conference Tournament. I was in a sea of like 10 teams yesterday, a little anxious, but I'm ready to rock and roll. Let's go.
You ready for this thing?
Yeah, I am. I mean, I got more work to do today, but yeah, I mean, it's all about, I get anxious, then I prepare, and then I'm confident. So
you can't give a prediction, and I'm not going to ask you to give a prediction, but what team, you've obviously done quite a few American games this year. What team are you most excited to see in this tournament? Memphis,
because I want to see how they respond. They've lost 7 in a row. I think they have a lot of talent. They won. They had to win to get in the tournament. That's how rough the year has been. Yeah. But they won, and I think that Memphis could go on a run. There's outside of South Florida, it's anybody's. So if South Florida makes a misstep, it's wide open, in my opinion.
That's interesting, man. We already got one 90s icon coaching college basketball out the door. Possibly his last game in about an hour. Bobby Hurley.
Oh, Bobby. Well, what about? Don't forget about Dame Stoudemire. He's another guy.
Yeah. I guess I forgot about him. Now you gotta think about Penny.
They can't fire Penny. That'd be foolish.
He's an icon there.
Yeah, that'd be foolish. And when you think about,
though, I don't know, Pete.
Yeah.
The violations, they've had some down years. I don't think it would be terrible, but
yeah,
I think they're in a PR kind of thing. Like Memphis, I just wouldn't call it one of the best sports towns in the world, but if they have a sports icon, it's Penny.
Dude, they have not had a losing season in 20 years. So this is like the first time they've had to deal with this. And I don't know, man. I just think he's done so much for that city, that community. And it's not like they've sucked. They've been really good in years past. He just has never turned the corner.
Bobby Hurley's still the all-time assist leader.
Assist leader, yeah. What? Hold on. Oh, it's like 1150. Is it 1150?
I just had it up in front of me. 1,076.
Damn, that's pretty damn close.
Yeah, there is someone.
I said 1150.
Braden Smith is in 4th at Purdue. He's current. His career's about to end. But if they go on a run, he's at 1029.
Let me say something quick about Bobby Hurley. Bobby Hurley.
By the way, top 3 all ACC guys, all Tobacco Road guys.
Bobby Hurley was dead to rights after that accident in Sacramento, and actually got back to the NBA and was effective again. I can't. It's not the same exact circumstance, but Jay Will never played again. I mean, different injuries, whatever, but Bobby Hurley's as tough as they come. So don't worry about Bobby.
I watch Peyton Pritchard for the Celtics, and I think that would be Bobby Hurley if he played in the 2020s. And Pritchard is like a stone cold shooter, which Bobby was a really good shooter. People kind of forget that. Undersized. He's not the distributor that Bobby was, but the game isn't the same. So that's who I see, and I'm like, man, that's kind of what we missed out on. I loved Bobby Hurley growing up.
Oh, dude, I loved. You know who I loved the most?
Watch those full old Duke games from the early '90s.
Well, you know who I loved the most was I loved Quinn Snyder, And when and I love Duke because there was a time when they were an underdog. They beat to go to the Final Four in Seattle when Leitner had the game winner against UConn at the Meadowlands. And right away, there's little things that grab us as kids. Right as that shot was made, in my memory, which I'm sure I've dressed up right over the years, that the band starts playing Devil with a Blue Dress, like right away. And it was just like, and Quinn Snyder is hugging Mike Krzyzewski, and it is like they're just ringing each other out. Like they can't believe it. It was one of those moments where I was like, yeah, I'm in on this team and these guys. I'm in on it. I love it. I always thought Coach K's wife was maybe a little too involved, but whatever.
Mickey, come on, you gotta talk to Spatola about it. Yeah, she was always there, always there.
No, she's awesome. The Coach K is the greatest, dude. He's the greatest. Oh, by the way, how about come on, Bob Knight,
college
baby.
Coach.
Yeah, Bob Knight. Can you tell me who the coach was in between Knight? Not going to get it. Bobby Knight and
Krzyzewski.
Mike Krzyzewski.
Oh man,
Ed Dockery. He's a Philly guy. He coaches Episcopal now, or he did coach Episcopal High School.
If you're going to do an unfair trivia question like that, can I give you one more to end the show?
Yeah.
Kareem, then known as Lou Alcindor, committed to UCLA. Obviously.
I just call him Alcindor, by the way. But go ahead.
Anyway, if he did not go to UCLA, do you know where he was going to go? His second choice, his announced
Columbia.
No, but you're not that far off.
NYU.
No, different city. This school, which was a very good program in the 40s and 50s and early parts of the 60s, had just hired his head coach at Power Memorial to be their head coach, and so he was thinking about following him there. Famous basketball alums include Tommy Heinsohn,
Holy Cross,
Bob Cousy. Yes, the College of the Holy Cross. Was
really?
Lou Alcindor's second choice. Yeah,
I love when people just call it's not to not respect his religion or his name. People just like to call him Alcindor, like they know more than you.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah. And then there was Alcindor.
Is that? But is that a problem though? Now.
No.
I'm going to talk about. If I talk about the 72 decathlon gold medalist, it's not the name that the person has now.
I think it's just you got. In my opinion, honestly, I think people are more forgiving than we like to think. I think you just can't.
Yeah,
who was the guy who kept calling Muhammad Ali Cassius, and Muhammad Ali just beat the hell out of him and was like, "Say my name." Like that kind of stuff is great. Like you're going to go out of your way
to Chris Everett thing.
Yeah, exactly. By the way, and Mr. might chime in on this. I did watch I don't know what it was, but Rome did like 15, 20 minutes on that, like an anniversary almost, and was very much self-effacing and was very funny and cool about it. It was pretty awesome.
Everyone says he's like a nice guy. I've never met Rome, but like
we were around him at the Super Bowl. We were. I mean, we didn't meet him.
Rubbing elbows. Yeah.
Well, but he was one of the guys. He was, there's guys like, and this is interesting about fame, right? There's guys like Mad Dog who were like in the pit rolling around with everybody. And then there's Stephen A. and Jim Rome where it's like, and I understand that, dude. You don't want to go that's a lot for those guys, especially when you've got a job to do. That's sometimes the hardest part, even for a schlep like me, when I go to a college basketball game, and if you get there early and you still want to like get stuff like done, you're at that scores table, you're totally exposed. So like anybody can come talk to you. And it's like, I don't love talking to people, but it's like, I'm stressed trying to do this.
Fine, talking to Pete, man.
No, you know what I mean? So it's like, it can be, Because your mind, it's the same thing. Like I'm getting ready to pack and leave, and Christy's talking to me this morning, and I'm thinking about how am I going to do this show with Cam and Harold Kuntz, and then how am I going to get to the airport, and I got to drop something to FedEx. You know what I mean? Like when you got a lot to do, that's why you got to practice where your feet are, right, Cam?
Right.
All right, the Pete's the show.
Now.
We'll be back tomorrow, and we appreciate everybody. Love, man, my man Chris Visser. Wait till you hear who we're having on. Well, I'll tell you, we've got Lon Kruger scheduled for later this week on Friday, and we got Phil Martelli scheduled for next Monday. I mean, come on, dude. Chris Visser. We are very fortunate to have him. Very, very fortunate. Yeah, we will be back tomorrow. Everybody have a great day. Thanks, Slovacic. See ya.
Bumblebee Blinds of Waco and Temple is your one-stop shop for custom window treatment, transforming your vision into reality. Choose from a selection of shades, blinds, shutters, and curtains. Bumblebee Blinds stands behind our service and products, ensuring peace of mind with our trusted warranty. Call Bumblebee Blinds today to schedule your design consultation. Bumblebee Blinds, simplifying window treatments one covering at a time. BumblebeeBlinds.com.
It's the Pete Sousa Show. Sports.
We definitely love our relationship and love Extraco. It's been an amazing experience.
They made the PPP process easier. They were reaching out to me saying, what can I do to help you? That made a huge difference because my stress level, when we shut down, to afterwards was night and day.
Our experience with Extraco has been phenomenal since the very beginning, so we love Extraco.
Nobody tells our stories better than our clients.
The difference is stark. I was rear-ended at 70 miles an hour. I was injured, had a concussion. The insurance company, they delayed. They were playing games from the initial conversation. They weren't going to help me. The biggest thing I learned through this is that you can't go through this alone. I called Daniel Stark. They were going to help me and everything was going to be all right. Daniel Stark got me 10 times the insurance company offered.
The difference is stark.
Nalgene Outdoor has been your trusted companion, fueling adventures and helping protect the planet. We're committed to reducing waste, improving access to clean water, and providing simple, safe, and sustainable products for you and your family. NALGENE.com.
Our professionals are not only experts in managing urgent concerns, but also in providing top-notch preventative health care. We're proud to connect pet owners to a vast network of licensed veterinary professionals, ready to address any immediate concerns. Book your first appointment today.
Sports.
This has been a Rogue Media Network production.